This is Jenny Kunkel, and in this video we are going to validate and use our live server extension, step through how we can set up a debug profile as well in Visual Studio Code. We are back in our email list application in Chapter 1. The same folder is still open from our last walkthrough with our Open in Browser extension. This time we are going to use the live server extension. We're going to go ahead and right click and open with live server. Once we do that, it's going to bring up our application, and this time notice that it's going to look a little bit different. Now, it depends on how things are set up on your computer, whether it's going to be using localhost, and you'll see that in the URL. In my case, it's using the IP address per localhost, the 127.0.0.1. Notice that after that reference, there is a colon, and there is 5500, which is the default port for live server. This is going to be pretty much the standard for our applications. Now, I'm going to go ahead and copy this because we'll be using it in just a little bit. Now, for the deliverable for your assignment, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to right click and open with live server with that highlighted. Take a picture of that menu so that I can see that you have that extension installed. Now, what we're going to do next is we want to go ahead and add a debug profile. We'll get into debugging and how that all works when we get into one of the walkthroughs that is going to be more of a lab type assignment that is going to step you through all the steps that are in the textbook for the exercises at the end of the chapter. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and look for the bug. So this should be the fourth icon down, has a little bug on top of essentially a go type button. And if we click on that, it's going to bring up the run and debug options. Now, with the run and debug, notice that there is create a launch JSON file. We want to make sure that we close our file before we try to create this type of profile. If we have that HTML file open, it could generate something incorrectly. So we want to make sure that that's closed. Then we can go ahead and click on the create. We're going to pick the web app Chrome. And when we do that, notice that it has a URL here that's specified localhost :8080. Well, that's not our URL. We copied the URL, and you're going to need to copy it because yours might be slightly different than mine. It may have localhost, it may have the 127.0.0.1 like mine does. And of course, the port is going to be different. So we're going to go ahead and paste that in, and then we would be set up to run this. Now I want to make sure that, okay, so we didn't have the endings slash there, so when we paste it in, we want to backspace and get rid of that. Everything else is going to be set up correctly. We have our workspace folder, so that's going to be able to reference the files within this folder. Notice that it created, let's go ahead and save this, a .vs code directory, and underneath that is the launch JSON profile. What I want you to do is have the launch JSON profile up. I want you to go ahead and take a screenshot so that I can see the VS Code with the launch JSON in the folder structure here, and then also where we can have the actual debug profile shown here. That will be the third and final snapshot that's required. Then you're going to go ahead and put all those snapshots together in a PDF file and submit it for your assignment. However, we want to go through and just do a little bit so that we can see how the debugger works. We'll go into this in more detail in one of the last walkthroughs that we have for this chapter. We want to go ahead and in our JavaScript file, since this is our code that we want to put breakpoints in, we want to go ahead and set it at the first name. So I'm in this gutter area. If you just click, it's going to add or remove the breakpoint. So I'm going to click there on that field, and then I'm going to go back to my bug and launch with Chrome against localhost and launch it. It should bring it up in the browser. Now if we go ahead and enter something, notice that now behind it's showing that I am stopped before the execution of line 9. If we would look over in our variables, we should be able to see that we have email1, the variable, has been assigned the value XX that it retrieved from that form field. We have email2 that has the value XX that it received from that form field. We have our debug options up here. I'm just going to use the step over. There is an F10 function key that you can use. I'm going to use this. Now we can see that after that statement was executed, now first name has the value XX. If I want to continue to the next breakpoint, if I had multiple breakpoints set, or if I just want to continue to the end of the execution, then I can go ahead and hit the continue here, or the F5. And then it essentially goes back to the processing of the page, and in our case it advanced to the next page. So that's a quick overview of the debugging. We'll get into that, as I indicated, in more detail when we go through the last walkthrough, where we're trying to determine a bug and try to fix it and resolve that.